Good Friday morning, everybody. Baron Banana's here again. And I mean, well, I had to change a setting yesterday, so one moment, and there we go. We're continuing on with Katawa Shoujo. I still have a bit of a long way to go just to get through Act 1. Yeah, turns out I'm not very quick at reading aloud, as I thought I was. Which, based off of the chart I have here, I'm at the halfway point. Or maybe just depending on how quick these scenes go. I don't know. Basically, I'm into the more important stuff now for Act 1. So I don't know. Maybe I'll get it done in time. Hey, Dew on the Grass, how's it going? That's good. Glad to hear that. Oh, nice. Well, welcome, welcome. I figured I'd do Katawa Shoujo as kind of like a lead up to Valentine's, because why not? And yeah, I know, I noticed that too a few months ago. They just removed the category. It sucks. It kind of makes it harder to find some people playing through it now that don't have it in their title. Is your second favorite VN? What's the first? Of course, it's Doki Doki. I might eventually do a mod of Doki Doki on the channel. A mod or two, I don't know. I'll see how it goes. People really want to hear me do horrible women voices. I mean, I was kind of... I actually did go from Doki Doki to this, surprisingly. Actually, not so surprising. I don't know, people kind of compare these two, even though they're very different beasts. One's a subversion, and the other is, like, the one in a million, creation. Okay, so... Ah, that's right. Where we left off last, we just had a thrilling conversation with Kenji in the bathroom about getting money for pizza and feminist stuff again. 'Cause that's Kenji. Two VNs are what made me realize I want to be an editor. Oh, nice. It's always nice when something totally unexpected like that kind of makes you want to do something. I wish you luck and hope you do become actually a very good editor, honestly. Plus, I think just the creators of anything would be like thrilled to hear, "Hey, your games inspired me to try something new and do some new aspect of my life." All right. All right, so we just got back from the shower, interrupted by Kenji. We met Rin yesterday and her insanity. Well, not insanity, just her weird way of looking at the world. And now we're gonna try and go about our day. What do? I work on arcade machines. Not right now, though, because good old, pandemic and whatnot going on in the world. Well, that's what I was doing beforehand, and once things get a little bit back to normal, I'll be back to doing that most of the time. It's something I honestly never thought I would be doing, but, I actually really enjoy it. Mostly because I like tinkering with things, and arcade games have a lot of things to tinker with. Oh yeah, a lot of arcades are kind of getting hit. One in a major city near me actually ended up having to completely shut down, like go right out of business because of this. And I know in Japan they closed a whole bunch of Sega arcades. Yeah, this it hasn't been good for a lot of things. Yeah, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed we can get everything under control. Then everyone can hopefully get back to their regular lives. Maybe we'll all be a little more conscious about things now, too. Alright, now to continue on with Act 1. That is time I will never get back. I'll get him for this somehow. But right now, I have to get to class. I'm the first person in class today, although I think I'm a little too early. And again, sitting alone here for 20 minutes sure beats having to suffer that time with Kenji. Combination of fatigue, frustration, and boredom starts making me feel very tired. I black out for a second, waking up when my head hits the surface of my desk. Rubbing my forehead, I realize this is as good a reason as any to stay up for now and stop coming to class so early later. Eventually, I hear a tapping noise on the outside in the hallway, and Lily's tall figure appears in the doorway. She's not in this class, so she must have some other business. Maybe she's looking for Hanako. Lily stops at the door, looking hesitant as if she was a vampire who can't come in unless invited. I consider doing so because she looks rather lonesome standing there. Don't know which route I want. Oh, I'm always gonna gun for Lily, like 100%. I like Lily the most out of them all. She steps in on her own accord, though, after straightening her skirt and shirt collar as if it was of importance to look prim when entering our classroom. Excuse me. She calls into the quiet classroom with a probing, delicate voice. I realize the silence might unnerve her because of her blindness, so I break it. Good morning, Lily. Isao? Good morning. I didn't hear you come in. I wonder if she thinks it's suspicious that I didn't say anything to her before. It's likely. If I were to tell too big a lie now, it would sink me. Well, I was already here, just asleep until now. Oh. Have you seen Hanako today, by any chance? No, she seems to come in only just before the bell rings. Or after that. Do you want me to tell her something for you? No, it's fine. It's strange, but I think we're the only two people in the school right now. I didn't hear anyone else on my way here. I shouldn't have gotten up so early today, I guess. You're chastising yourself for doing something that other people should. Punctuality is a good thing. I think so anyway. It's a very busy morning today. The festival is coming up soon, and today is the deadline for event registration, budget reports, and other official paperwork. It could be that everyone is trying to complete the necessary forms at the last minute. Maybe that's why it's so quiet today. And in comes Misha. Hi! Misha pops into the room with Shizune as if on cue, shouting with a loudness that makes Lily visibly flinch. Hi, Hee-chan! Hi. Look! It's the class representative! Hello! Lily smiles, probably amused by Misha's or Shizune's use of the word look. Good morning. Forgot about this theme. It's your favorite. Carly's leave. I'll be honest, I know nothing of actual music theory and all that, so everything you just said, it just went right over my head. But I can at least say I do think the soundtrack and everything in general is very good. Like, I enjoy these tracks a lot. A few of them I'll put on just if I want to chill out. I've even used a few when doing Gunpla streams here on the channel. Just play them all through the background because it's just nice and relaxing as I snip away at the runners. Yeah, like, this VN, like, has something for everyone. So, like, somehow this, like, 1 in a million VN that probably never should have been created has something for everyone. Damn, I cannot remember that track off the top of my head, but I know it comes up, like, a bit. Ah! Oh, Rin's theme, that's right. Okay, yeah. I can see that for gaming, hell yeah. Of course, you're not the representative of this class, right? Right? I'm not. Lily seems a little more guarded in her answers to Shizune than she was with me the other day. I guess they really don't get along at all. That and the Jackson 5's blame it on the boogie. Then I realized that Lily might actually not know Shizune is present and is trying to detect whether or not she is, to know who she's talking to. For all she knows, she's talking to Misha, but knowing that she and Shizune are practically inseparable, she might expect Shizune being the one that actually talks. Damn, how complicated. I decided to help Lily out, for my own peace of mind more than anything else. You're here early, Shizune.
You were here even earlier than us.
Misha puffs out her cheeks angrily. Why is she getting angry? Does she feel emotions on Shizune's behalf too? It's not that weird though, that Shizune didn't like my little comment. It's true, I was here earlier than them, so me saying something like that could definitely be misinterpreted as anything else. As anything. Read too quickly sometimes. Especially to Shizune, who doesn't have the benefit of hearing tone to gauge intent. Before I can start weighing whether or not I should apologize, Shizune has already moved on.
Class rep, it's a good thing you're here. We have to talk. The festival is coming up in 3 days, right? Every other class has already handed in their projected budget reports for their events. Even the first years. Except you.
Insert wahaha here.
There's still time to hand it in, isn't there? Today! The deadline is today. You're certainly taking your time, aren't you? If I had it my way, I'd have all the necessary paperwork days ago. But someone had to say, the deadline, please extend it. Yes, that was me. Planning something on this scale is not a small task, and a week is too small a time frame to expect a whole class to work out such a complex issue completely. Do you want to know what's harder than distributing the funds for one class's event? Handling the same matter for every class in the school and then some. The one who does that is me.
Misha puts her hands on her hips and stands up straight. Wow, she is really getting into the role. Lily doesn't look like she's very amused, though. Hey, Shizune, aren't you being a little too hard on her? There's still a whole day left.
Please, Isao. It's all right.
Lily seems happy I'm taking her side, but a bit conflicted that I might not think she can take care of herself.
If this is about the budget, then I'm disappointed you think I've forgotten about it. I understand how important it is. Then, can I have it, please?
Shizune, she might not have it on her at this exact second.
It's not here right now. I asked 2 students to take care of it for me. Students from my class.
She emphasizes the last sentence, much to my surprise. She knows about Shizune and Misha's efforts to rope me into the student council? I guess worst word must have gotten around, so now she's using me as ammo against Shizune. This just gets better and better.
It was your responsibility. A budget report isn't something you should just be delegating away. As class rep, it's your job to be on top of things. This kind of disregard for proper procedure is really just terrible. They completed it, being capable of doing so, but the students have been sick recently, so they could not come to school and give it back to me. If you want, I will apologize on their behalf for getting sick. Okay.
Although Misha misses Lily's little jab entirely, Shizune doesn't. And she seems torn between being offended by Lily's daring and jumping for joy at the prospect of a challenge.
Lily, don't you live here at the school? That's a 5-minute walk, you know. What could they possibly have that prevents them from taking 5 minutes out of their busy lives to drop off something that'll affect the enjoyment of their entire class?
Lily opens her mouth to say something, but Shizune closes the gap between them and starts signing furiously, waving her hands around like an orchestra conductor. Misha tries her best to convey the same passion, but can't seem to lose her normal cheerful tone. The result is interesting and somewhat surreal.
And what's with that attitude? I said it's not something you should be delegating away. Are you the class representative or aren't you?
Hey Nichols, how's it going? Happy Friday to you too.
Tell me the names of those two students. They should have your job if you can't even handle something this simple yourself.
One form isn't the full extent of what I'm supposed to take care of. Lily's tone is growing slightly impatient, but she's doing a pretty good job of not letting Shizune see how unsettled she's becoming. She's playing her cards close to her chest. Shizune, on the other hand, wraps her fingers cheerfully around the edge of her glasses, knowing Lily can neither hear nor see how excited she is.
Of course, you do so much, class rep. It must be so difficult being you.
Lily tightens her lips at Misha's words, clearly understanding the intent behind them, even though Misha delivers them without even a hint of sarcasm, which they were meant to have. Yeah, the blind girl and the deaf girl don't get along. It's also like official stuff. Shizune is the student council president and is wanting paperwork for a festival which Lily doesn't have on her yet. Yeah, that's just Lily and Shizune do not get along. Like that that's just how it is. Those two, nah, they do not get along in the slightest. Shizune and Lily don't like each other. That much is clear. But this seems a little much. Seems like Lily has had enough and is ready to push back.
I was actually just discussing the budget report before you came by. You must be very talented to have finished all your student council duties so quickly that you can track me down to make sure I don't forget my own. Are you accusing me of slacking off? It seems like you're confusing me with yourself. I don't think so. That would be a very difficult thing for me to do, comparing myself to you. You're right. The difference between us is like heaven and hell. And it's not hard to guess which one you might represent.
The air between them ripples with the heat of their anonymity. Well, not really. They can't disguise it anymore, though. Even Misha looks like she's beginning to understand the real nature of this conversation. Yeah, I know. Just random panty shot.
He-chan, don't you slack off either.
What are you talking about?
Aren't you taking part in the festival, He-chan? You are, aren't you? Then, I hope you're going to do a lot more to make sure it goes smoothly than this person.
I don't understand why Shizune is getting mad at me. So, well, what do I want to do here? I mean, I know what I want to do. don't drag me into this, or get him to back off on Lily. I mean, she just came here looking for Hanako, and then they barge in and start giving her the gears. Yeah, I'm gonna help Lily out. That only seems fair. They're just kind of being, yeah, they're being assholes. Hey, I'm the new guy, remember? It's not like I could have done much, even if I wanted.
That's right. You shouldn't expect a transfer student to jump right into this on his first week.
Lily taking my side feels oddly comforting, so I decide to back her up too. Yeah, you're being unreasonable with both of us.
Excuses, excuses. Miss Class Rep has had plenty of time to deal with her report. And we repeatedly offered you a position to help with the student council work, but you refused to commit yourself to making the festival a success.
Yeah, but as I said back then, I'm not sure if... I don't have time for this right now. No matter what I do, it'll mean being drawn into a confrontation with Shizune, and that is what she wants. Whatever. Forget it. I turn my back at them. Lily, class is going to be starting soon, so we can talk more later. I'll tell Hanako you're looking for her. I can feel Shizune freezing. Maybe this is the first time she's ever been ignored in such a blunt manner.
Thank you, Hisao. I'll leave now then.
She gives me the sweetest smile I've seen all week and turns on her heels to make her exit. Soon as Lily walks out the door, I suddenly start feeling reluctant about turning to face Shizune. I can feel her eyes burning into my back, and I can't bring myself to look at her. She must be furious. I keep expecting Misha to say something to alleviate the tension, but it really is wanting too much. In the end, I go back to my seat and listen to the sound of Shizune's footsteps as she marches out of the room. She doesn't return until a few minutes before class. Hanako doesn't come to the morning class at all, leaving her seat looking empty and lonely in the back of the classroom. I have to tell her that Lily was looking for her if I see her later. After the events of this morning, class is pretty boring in comparison. I turn the pages of my textbook lazily. I have a bit of catching up to do, just by trying to keep up with my studies in the hospital, but I'm not feeling that enthusiastic about it. I mean, who would be? Who would be enthusiastic about trying to catch up in school after 4 months off? This is also 4 months of his last year he's missed, by the way. So, yeah, he's lost 4 months of his final year of high school. So that's gonna set him back a bit. Oh, Hisao's a bit of a smart guy. Clock at the front of the room sounds unbearably loud. Teacher hasn't said anything in over 7 minutes, instead opting to cover the board in rows and rows of equations taken directly from the book. The rhythmic clashing of chalk on blackboard seems to synchronize perfectly with the ticking of the clock. I start to copy down the equations just to pass the time, even though they're right there in the textbook. The bell rings. I'm not in a hurry because I have nothing to do, so I stay for a while, reviewing what we covered in class today. I prefer to leave last anyway, so I don't have to deal with crowding in the hallways. I notice Shizune and Misha have also stayed behind, talking to someone from another class. Shizune's signing so fast that her hands make noises like swords cutting through the air. Maybe there's pent-up anger in there. Misha is trying desperately to keep up, but it's clear she can barely manage to even understand her. I put my head down. Whatever they're discussing, it looks like serious business. Shizune signs to the point where her wrists crackle, and Misha struggles to spit it out in word form. Sometimes she trips over herself like she's dealing with tongue twisters. And then on top of that, she has to sign back anything the other girl says. Oh, poor Misha. She's got such a hard job. Seems like a rough job. Misha looks tired, like she's about to faint. Luckily for her, their business is soon finished and the girls sit down on their seats again.
I'm so tired.
She's hanging her head limply on her desk, looking exhausted. I'll use the opportunity to reconcile with Shizune a bit, without getting roped into the student council thing again. Though I suspect that door is now closed for me. Festival preparations must be tough for you. Indeed, the people in this school seem to be taking the festival very seriously. Whenever I see people idling around before and after classes, they're always talking about their plans for it. It's kind of neat to see everyone being so enthusiastic about it. I'm probably the only one who doesn't have something to do. Shizune scoffs at me first, as I'm trying to decide whether to ignore or sneer at me. But in the end, she starts signing without doing either. Misha perks up, looking at her hands with slightly unfocused eyes. She signs with harsh, heavy, dramatic strokes. Just imagine that, just doing sign language, but you're being so dramatic about it, like hard, doing all that. I know absolutely no sign language, so I can't even replicate that. And I'm not going to, because that would probably be offensive in some way. Misha translates her signing into speech for me. She does it so well, it's almost like Shizune is actually speaking, transmitting her thoughts directly through Misha. She must have practiced it vigorously.
Well, of course. We're in the student council, so we're pretty busy. It's an important duty of ours to ensure the success of the festival with all our strength. We would shame ourselves in front of the past student council generations if the festival were to fail. That's why there must be no flaws. I think that was encumbrances? No, nothing that would make the festival short of perfect.
Shizune's passionate speech and Misha's enacting are really oddly fitting of them.
Oh? Hello?
There's Hanako. I look over my shoulder and see Hanako peering timidly into the classroom, most of her body hidden behind the door.
Hey! Playing delinquent again?
Hanako blushes hard at Misha's straightforward jab, even if it was only in jest. Shizune stares at her probingly, causing Hanako to look down and start backing away to the point where only her fingers can be seen wrapped nervously around the edge of the door. Maybe she's showing her dislike of Hanako by association of her dislike of Lily. It appears so, and Hanako probably knows it as well. What is it, Hanako?
Has Lily been here? Sorry, haven't seen Sato. She, came by in the morning, though.
Hanako keeps looking uneasily at Shizune, who stares back at her with her usual studying gaze.
What is she trying to do?
Of course, Shizune isn't going to look away, and she is intimidating enough as it is, so I can only imagine how terrified Hanako would be. It is a little uncomfortable, watching Hanako's reaction to Shizune's normal behavior. This is what happens when two people of two different extremes meet, it seems.
Do you know where she is? If she has any sense in her head, she's in her classroom, working on their festival project. But who knows where that woman is loitering at?
You need to find her? She was looking for you in the morning, but I guess you've missed each other. She waits a little without answering the simple question, looking awfully like she's not sure if it's proper to answer such a question.
Yeah.
I can come with you. If that's okay. Hanako nods fractionally, still on guard, her shoulders stiff like wood. I get the feeling she might be more comfortable by herself after all, but it's too late to back off now. She has this really troubled expression that seems to wear almost constantly. One that makes me constantly be on guard myself. Wonder why. I kind of understand why she always seems to be so wary, or maybe more like why there could be a person like her. I still have no idea how I should act around such a person. It's dinner time soon. Are you planning to eat with Lily? She nods slightly. So she must have been trying to get in the cafeteria. Well, there's something of a dinner crowd, just like the cafeteria is crowded during lunch. It's not as bad, because dinner time is longer than lunch hour, but I can understand why Hanako could be discouraged from going in. I pick up my bag and we take our leave. Hanako skips a little to meet my initial pace, so I slow down to match her speed. It doesn't take long for us to be walking at a comfortable pace down the hallway. It almost feels like we're going for a stroll together. Something I can't say I've really done before with a girl. Hanako doesn't seem to be thinking the same thing, though. Even though we're walking at the same pace, she never comes within arm's reach of me. I guess she's still a little uncomfortable around me. Given how shy she is, there doesn't seem to be much helping it. At least for now. By the time we arrive at the cafeteria, there's not much of a crowd there, but Lily's nowhere to be seen. Hanako's head sinks even lower than usual. Have you looked somewhere else already?
Just at the library. I was reading.
So she does spend the classes she skips at the library. So not exactly a thorough search then. Well, if I had to guess, she'd be in her own class like Shizune said, right?
Right.
The slightest of nods, Hanako agrees with my reasoning. God, she's being so awkward. It's like I need double-layered silk gloves with padding to even begin interacting with her. Some small talk might help her become a bit more used to me. It isn't hard to tell if the silence between us is hovering on the edge of both our minds. So you and Lily usually hang out together after class, right?
Yes.
I'm not quite sure what I expected from her answer, nor why I even asked the question. That much was rather obvious after all. She doesn't seem like the type to cultivate a social circle either, so I suspect that Lily may well be her only friend. Must be a pain being in different classes, I'm guessing. She gives a sharp, almost reflective nod. Compared to Lily's carefully thought about her actions and speech, Hanako hastens to make her answers as prompt and short as possible.
Lily comes by the classroom, though, even when she's busy.
She gives a small smile as she says it, evidently appreciating the fact that Lily goes out of her way to help her. It's pretty cute, really. There isn't any need to say more, both of us content that the discussion's reached an end. As we ascend the stairs back to the lobby, I'm already... How am I getting tongue-tied at nothing? I don't know how Jen does it. How the hell does she do this? My god. I can ramble on about nothing from things off the top of my head, but give me a script in front of me and I'm gonna trip over my own words 400 million times. As we ascend the stairs back to the lobby, we are met by a group of students heading downstairs like a school of fish moving from one feeding area to another. They seem to be keeping mostly to themselves, but before I can notice her doing so, Hanako has moved around behind me. Hey, are you alright?
Just keep going.
Students pass us without as much as a second glance, and Hanako takes up position to my side again as we enter the building, her momentary reprieve from her anxiety all but snatched away. Even as we climb toward the third floor, she doesn't seem to relax. It isn't as if I've never known a shy person before, or even shy girls, but Hanako seems to be pretty far beyond what I'd call normal in her fear of other people. If it weren't for Lily acting as a mediator, I doubt Hanako would even be able to walk beside me like this. She seems to completely shut down in the presence of others. The rest of the walk up to Lily's classroom continues in strained silence, while I rue her inability to socialize at all. After we make our way up the stairs, the noise coming from Lily's classroom is audible from halfway down the hallway. I wasn't expecting such a din at all. Well, I guess we found her. This wasn't hard. Did Hanako come here first, then come to me for backup, I wonder? Well, if that's true, then at least she's starting to trust me a little. That can only be a good thing. Eventually, the two of us reach the door to Class 3-2. Hanako less than subtly positioning herself behind me, I open the door. Inside is a hive of activity. Seemingly every student in the class is talking at once as they work hurriedly on their separate tasks. Going by the paint cans, decorations, and banners being made, it must be for the upcoming school festival. I guess my first priority should be finding Lily. There. Finding her among the din is surprisingly easy, not the least because of her looks. A couple of students gathered around her as she stands at the front of the class. She seems to be in charge of the preparations, or at least busy organizing them. Carefully negotiating a path through the various students hunched over the floor for lack of desk space, raise a hand entirely out of habit as we finally reach Lily. Hi, Lily. She perks her head up as she breaks off talking to a noticeably smaller girl who must be her classmate, trying to listen as best she can.
Sorry, who?
Sorry, Hisao. I have Hanako too.
Hi.
She's pretty skittish. Considering the number of people around, it isn't too hard to work out why. Lily takes a moment to pause, takes a moment's pause to assess the situation before turning to the other student once again.
For the moment, just ask Moria for his advice. Kenji's busy with painting one of the banners already.
A quick nod and she bounces off, fingers carefully sliding along the wall's face for orientation. Wait, Kenji? That Kenji? I quickly turn about, leaning to the side to see past Hanako. Sure enough, in the corner of the room, Kenji's hunched over a sheet of cloth as he paints it. His eyes remain only inches from the brush, reminding me of how close he had to be to make out my face when I met him.
Sorry about that. Our class doesn't have many students with even partial eyesight, so they're in high demand.
That's right. Class 3-2 was especially for students with poor vision. Preparing for the festival must be pretty arduous for them. Need a hand? I can give you help if you need some. Maybe Hanako could too. Chance to set her mind on something would do her good, but I doubt she has the courage to ask outright. She quickly nods in affirmation afterwards, so I'm confident I made the right move. Lily gives a noticeable sigh of relief.
That's good. This might actually get finished before everyone goes off to dinner now. Would you be able to help the person painting the main banner? It's a big task for him to do, but nobody else can help.
Genji? Sure. She seems surprised that I know him. Can't really blame her.
I take it you've met?
Our rooms in the dorm are right next to each other. Hard to miss each other, really.
Well, it's good to see you're getting friends so fast.
Friend. I wonder if that's the right word to use for him. Hanako's silence during the proceedings reminds me of the reason I put her up to helping in the first place. Well, we'll go help him then. He knows what he needs doing, right?
That's right. Just ask if you have any problems.
Coursing in ascent, Hanako and I begin another trek across the classroom. Kenji sits crouched on the floor, his fixed gaze on the white calico in front of him. Hey, Kenji. No answer. He continues dragging his paint-soaked brush along the large, half-painted kanji that's sketched on the sheet in pencil. Kenji? Huh? What? Who is it? If this is the way he treats his class members, it's no small wonder he's working on this alone. Oh, thanks, game. It's me, Sao, from the... Okay. This game needs to pick and choose when it wants to cut things off. Right, I know that, man. What are you doing here, though? His dismissive attitude annoys me. He must be the type to get really focused on his work, hating to be disturbed by anyone until he's done, I suppose. While we talk, the sound of Hanako's footsteps as she walks out from behind me reminds me that she's here. I was just gonna help with the banner. Hanako and I, that is.
Hello.
Oh. Hey. I guess that's okay. As soon as Hanako enters the equation, his demeanor takes a complete about-face. His sudden faux hospitality is slightly unsettling. Alright. Women. On second thoughts, this might not have been a great idea after all. Hanako and I grudgingly set ourselves down on the opposite sides of the cloth banner to Kenji, noting the several small paint tins on the ground around it. Class 3-2. Noodle stall? You guys selling noodles at the festival on Sunday? Yeah, some stalls outside. Something. Or something? His non-committal nature speaks a fair amount of suspicion on my behalf. Task at hand comes first, though. So how do you want to split this? We do borders while you do the text, or do you want to switch and do the borders? Text is mine. You do borders. He has surprisingly strong feelings on the topic. As I reach over to grab a brush, I notice Hanako's already debating between colors to use. By the time I put brush to cloth, she's already started on a delicate pattern. Looks like my idea of taking her mind off everyone around her worked. With a dark blue stroke, the three of us silently get to work. Not before Kenji takes advantage of Hanako's working to lean towards me and whisper conspiratorially, though. Okay, man, why are you here? Hanako just wanted some help to find Lily, that's all. He apparently disapproves of my motivations. I get it. Looks like I misjudged you. You're infiltrating them, aren't you? Going deep undercover? I should have guessed. Letting the truth slip by him would probably be better than outright lying or annoying him in any case. Is that why you're here? Obviously. It sucks. There's no better way to get intel than going in yourself. You gotta stick together, man. This is a harsh school. A harsh world. Yes. Very harsh. He misses my true meaning as he leans back. Satisfied, I'm sympathetic to his cause. I'd better get down to work. I love Kenji's theme just because of how it's just his demeanor entirely.
Finished.
Looks like I am too. Good job. Two of us connect up the lines of our patterns, mine being as close a copy as I could manage of hers. With a grunt, I lever myself from the floor and look around. Aside from Hanako and myself, there's only Kenji left finishing off the sign, as well as Lily and a couple of students talking amongst themselves in the classroom. Looking at my watch, it's no surprise. It's getting pretty late. Need a hand? I offer a hand to Hanako, which she uses to get herself up. As she does, I can't help but glance at her wrist. If her scars extend even to there, just how much of her body was burned? I feel a pang of guilt about it, however, she quickly covers her wrist with her other hand. Looks good, doesn't it? She looks surprised for a moment before noticing that I mean the banner.
It does, I guess.
Her smile shows that she feels a slight sense of pride in the result. just as I do. With the floor significantly neater for the decorations being placed on desks and shelves, it's much easier to get to Lily as we cross the room. We finished the banner. Guess that's all that needs to be done? Lily gives an appreciative nod.
Thank you, Hisao. Hanako. If there's any way I can thank you...
It's fine. Besides, sitting in my room beats sitting in my room and studying at any rate.
I don't mind either.
She nods before suddenly remembering one last person.
Oh, is Kenshi still here?
Just as I open my mouth, Kenshi gives the answer from the other side of the room. Yeah, just finished. He carefully slides his sign onto an empty section of the shelf to dry before quickly walking past us and out the door. See ya, man. Bye. The remaining two students say their goodbyes to Lily before taking their cue to leave as well, leaving only the three of us. Well, I guess that's everyone.
I hope we don't have to do anything like that again.
Working past school time?
Indeed. The class's plans this year were ambitious. Maybe too ambitious. The stalls look nice, though.
She's right. Shows that a lot of work's gone into them.
My. I'm sure a lot of us would be glad to hear that. At least now there's not much work to do until the festival itself. It's getting pretty late. Should we go? That's probably a good idea. Are you going back to the dorms as well, Hisao?
Yeah, I guess I'll tag along. The nighttime lighting really makes the gardens look quite different. Compared to the usual look of lush greenery, things are much more calm. Being that it's so late, the lack of students around probably helps. The odd one or two could be scurrying to and from the dorms, trying to eke the most out of their approaching curfews, but no more. All that can be heard is our footsteps, in addition to Lily's cane regularly gently tapping the ground in front of her. It's nice to finally be able to relax a bit after the mad rush during school. Without even noticing it, I let out a small yawn.
Tired?
Yeah, still getting used to the flow of things, I guess. The, thing with Shizune took me kind of off guard, though. I grit my teeth a little at the candid mention of their rather public spat. That said, I do want to sort out what in the world is behind it.
About that. I'm sorry about it being so public. Shizune and I go back some ways.
Her voice seems slightly irritated as she remembers Shizune, obviously unwilling to discuss it any further. I glance to Hanako for her views on this, but her expression is, unsurprisingly, evasive and difficult to read. Either way, I guess her apologizing for it is something, even if my curiosity goes unanswered.
I'll be glad once the festival is over, in any case.
The change of topic's welcome, clearing the thickening air quickly. I can imagine. My old school festivals were a lot more low-key than this.
Yamaku stresses the idea of a school community, so the staff likes to make our festivals and such special occasions.
And yet the students are the ones who do the work. What an unfair world. Hanako and Lily both chuckle in agreement, savoring the fact that none of the staff are around to hear our grumbling.
I suppose coming from a strict all-girls school helped me a bit with Yamaku. Compared to there, Yamaku is much more relaxed.
That'd go way towards explaining her well-bred speech and behavior in any case. What the fuck is a well-bred speech? Cannot breed speech into people. I forget a lot of these lines, and they still take me by surprise. Like, what the kind of description is that? Well-bred speech. She's not a horse. Ugh. Whatever. I'm just gonna chalk it up to Hisao being Hisao. So we come up to the dormitories. It eventually comes time to leave for our respective rooms. See ya, Lily. Hanako. The two both give polite nods before setting off to the women's dorms, just next to the guys. As is to be expected of such an arrangement, there is a staff member casually patrolling around outside to prevent any nighttime shenanigans. Walking past him, I quickly stretch my arms and rub my neck, both quite sore after having worked on the floor for so long before walking to my room. No, but being old-fashioned wealthy typically means having been trained in formal behavior and speech. Yeah, that's training. It's not being well-bred, though. I don't know. It's just a weird... That just feels like a weird way to describe it. Having well-bred speech. I do get where they're going with. Then again, I'll just chalk it out to Hisao being Hisao. An idiom? Okay, yeah. Feels good to actually have direction, though. After so long in the hospital, the everyday facts of studying, homework, and teachers seem almost a blessing. I guess if things continue like this, my time at Yamaku might turn out okay. Adhering to the nurse's nagging voice in the back of my head, I set my alarm clock to wake me up early enough to go jogging again. I made a promise, and I'm gonna keep it. Besides, Emmy's bound to rat on me if I don't show up. But it's not all that bad. The morning alarm goes off, and I flail about uselessly for a while until I remember that I decided to give morning runs another shot. I don't know if this was my greatest idea, but I'm determined to keep going. This is about my health, after all. Sure, things haven't been great lately for me, but that hasn't made existence so intolerable that I'm not going to try everything I can to stay healthy. Besides, it's all about asserting some kind of control over this thing, right? If I can manage that, well, I can manage anything. At least that's what I keep telling myself. I'm actually gonna make another save for right here. Mostly for future playthroughs. Emmy's Route is my fave. VN girls with character depth who steal your food hold a special place in my heart. I liked Emmy's Route. I still prefer Lily's. That's why I'm making the doubles. That's why I have two separate save points right now. Because I know what's coming up and I know what the options are going to do for me, so. One playthrough will be for one, the other will be for the other. Emmy, Sayori, I love them all. For talking DDLC, Natsuki was my girl. Yeah, Natsuki was my number one. For the most part, I seem to have a thing for short, angry tsunderes. But then I like Lily in this, who's definitely not a tsundere. Once again, it would appear that I'm not alone in my run. Emmy has apparently been here for some time. It looks like she's already worked up a good sweat. Just when the hell does she come down here anyway?
Oh, it's you! I'm surprised to see you again.
Why is that?
Well, not many people actually manage to come back for a second try.
She frowns, seemingly annoyed by a passing thought.
Like the rest of the track team, for instance. Still, it was only supposed to be on a volunteer basis, so it's not that big a shock. And I guess it's pretty early in the morning.
A shrug, and suddenly it appears she's forgotten what she was talking about. The frown disappears entirely, and she seems to snack back to her previous train of thought.
So, come on then.
What?
You're here to run again, right?
Well, yes.
So come on.
I find myself suddenly grabbed and yanked onto the track. Things seem to be set on mirroring yesterday's run. That is, I seem to be struggling, while Emmy moves with the effortlessness that I find enviable. It's incredibly bothersome to be so easily worn out. I know I should be patient, work toward things gradually, but it's difficult to stay positive about this. We round the track and start on our second lap. Emmy seems to have grown impatient keeping pace with me, and begins to pull away. This is where I gave out yesterday. Will I be able to do more? Okay, this I'll make the actual save. Second save point. We'll do that, and then also save over that one, so they're both at the same point. Okay. So there, I've given myself an easy in for two routes. The other ones, actually, I gave myself an easy in for 3 routes, considering how I get to. Considering like some of these choices count for 2 people. So that's good. I can easily go back now, and we'll see slightly different things. So for this save, I'm gonna take it easy. I've got a bad heart. Why should I put myself? Do I want to die on the spot? No. I let Emmy go with her own pace, and she doesn't show mercy, pulling half a lap ahead of me in an instant. I don't blame her. I mean, it's not as if I'm really putting up any sort of real fight out here, is it? Instead, I'm just running at a steady pace, which is what I should be doing, right? 6 saves, one for each girl's festival day, and one for Hisao's arrival at school. I should have made a save for at the start of the school. I probably should have done that. Because now if I want to do the other routes that these 2 saves won't get me onto, I gotta skip through a bunch of dialogue, which sucks. But, well, what can you do? I got half the game basically right here with these 2 saves. So, win some, lose some. Yeah, I'm gonna make this this is gonna become part of my regular rotation, so I'll have the time. There's no need to go pushing my limits at this stage of the game. God, is this even worth it? As we finish the second lap, I break off again. Emmy keeps going, and it almost seems to me that she's disappointed. Well, that's stupid. I don't have anything to prove to her. Come to think of it, I got nothing to prove to myself either. I'm just fine the way I am. And what I'm not is a runner. This is probably a bad idea. Maybe there's something else I can do instead of this. Getting up this early sucks anyway. There's gotta be some other way to keep healthy. Walking, maybe? Nice afternoon walks. Yeah, that sounds good. Running isn't for me. I wave to Emmy and head back to my room. I'll think of something else later. That kind of breaks my heart still, even though I like Lily more. That's still because I do kind of like Emmy too. So that's just kind of, oh, she's a fake character. I'm not on her route, and I feel like I've disappointed her. What is this game? Ugh, already getting feels this early on with something stupid as that. Back in my room, the first thing I see is the familiar row of medicine bottles lined up on top of my dresser. And it makes me depressed, as usual. It's annoying. I thought I was okay. Thought I had made peace with this thing, gotten over it. But what I really did, I allowed myself to forget that I have a problem. Being here really reminds me of the reality, and trying to fight against it just hurts. That's why I say say for festival day, I can't say no to Emmy. Yeah. I mean, that just shows the quality of the game, kinda. Like, you barely know anything about Emmy, but even just kind of, stopping running because it's not your thing and potentially disappointing her, you feel it. Yeah, barely know her, not even going on her route, but I have that little tinge of like, oh, I let her down. She's not even a real person. Yeah, you know it's a good game when that kind of stuff happens. That's why Lily's your least favorite? Yeah, how come? Just curious. Feel like Hasao just lets himself down? Yeah, kinda, yeah. I almost feel like that's the point. I don't want to spoil anything for people that are watching for the first time. But yeah, I can see that. Doesn't really do too much for himself. But I just like Lily because of the entire route. That's just my thing. Emmy does come second though, very easily. It's close, but Lily just edges Emmy out, in my opinion. But as the saying goes, every girl is best girl. There are no wrong opinions. Especially with this game. Reflecting on it is only going to do so much. I've done this before. For months. Seems like it's time to get over it. I allow myself to forget that my life is definitely not going to be as long as those others, I won't get anywhere. My life may be different from others, but it's a life in progress. That is how I'll rationalize it. I down the usual handful of pills, trying to push the sudden dreary feeling out of my head. Then I prepare to head out to class early, as usual. As I step into the hallway, I notice Kenji coming around the hallway corner stealthily, making his way over to his own room with a large bag. Oh my god. Ugh, I gotta learn to slow the hell down when I read. Ay, ay, ay. As he sneaks past me soundlessly like a ninja hiding in plain sight, I call out to him. Hey. He jumps at the sound of my voice. Oh, hey man. I didn't notice you there. I'm really tired. I think it's more like he didn't see me, but that's not the issue. Where have you been this early? Shopping? Nah, I wasn't shopping. Sometimes I have to visit the math teacher. Yeah, I figured it'd be a good idea to find out when the next exam is, since he tells you in advance if you want. So then, what's in the bag? Love how every ending his style is completely different. Yeah, he doesn't have a set character in each route. His changes and is different with each one, which is kind of nice. He's not just the same bland generic character going through each route, but with a different girl in place. He grows along with them. He feels like a real person. Yeah, for a visual novel written by a bunch of random people that got together from 4chan, wow. Like, just wow. They put a lot of time, effort, and, like, dedication into this. Cannot applaud them any more than I really have. I thought I'd go shopping while I was outside. I need supplies to continue the fight against the vast feminist conspiracy. Okay. Thought you didn't go outside. I wear a hat now. I decide to not point out that he is not wearing a hat. An awkward silence settles between us, and then Kenji breaks it by pushing his door open slowly, releasing a creaking sound into the air that only makes the moment seem more awkward. He sets the bag down inside his room and then closes the door. I'm surprised you went out of your way to find out a test date. Trying to take advantage of an opportunity to study is pretty diligent. That's why Rin's route is the most impressive for me. Sao doesn't change because in ignoring the other routes, he effectively gives up main character status. Yeah, I've actually never played Rin's route, so I have no idea what happens onto it. I've done every other route, just didn't do Rin's yet. I might make hers the very last one I do, streaming-wise, just as kind of a treat to myself and something to look forward to. I never study. Oh. I just want to know when the next test day was. I'm still gonna take it, duh. I need to know so I know what day I can't afford to skip class. He usually sends out updates on that crap by phone, so I had to step out and check up on it. And why do you have to go out when you can get it on your phone? I don't carry a phone. The MC of Rin's route is Rin herself, and everything is seen. Okay. Huh. Yeah, that is vastly different from every other route then. Okay. What do you mean you don't carry a phone? You mean you just leave it at home? Nah, I don't use phones. I don't have a phone. Phones. I have no phone. Why don't you have a phone? How can you not have a phone? No phone at all? No phone? I just don't like phones. Actually, I'm kind of scared of them. I don't know why. I think it's some kind of repressed trauma. But basically, when I hear a phone, I get nervous. It's my darkest secret. I have two theories on it. Either I have some fear of receiving some undefined, ominous, life-altering doom call, or I was beaten with a phone in the past. Beaten so badly, I can't remember it. Beaten in the head. Well, where else could I get beaten with a phone that would make me unable to remember it? The ass? The unexpectedly logical. I feel very depressed now. Sensing this conversation is more or less over, Kenji opens his door again and prepares to head inside. Yeah, I'm going to sleep, dude. Have a good one. Class is going to start in like 20 minutes. I already did something today. Too tired to go to school. Hey, need some lip balm? I accidentally bought two because I thought the store had started selling individual AA batteries. Thanks, but no thanks. So why would you need individual AA batteries? Who would ever want to buy just a single battery? There's a lot of good lines, most of them coming from Kenji. I feel like they just had a field day with Kenji. I'm just writing him. Whatever, man. Yeah, good old Kenji route. Gotta have that manly picnic. He swiftly enters his lair, finally letting me go to class. For a change, I'm not among the first ones to come to morning class. Instead, almost everyone else seems to be here already. I recognize most of my class by their faces by now, though the names escape me still. Class goes on lazily. I think I'm starting to get into the rhythm of the school. I've even stopped worrying about taking notes and being overly attentive. First days, I was pretty high-strung in class. Muto finishes his lecture about electricity early, but continues without a pause about the festival. So, as you know, the festival is on the day after tomorrow. I hope everyone's projects are going to be as successful this year. Have a good time, but also come Sunday, please keep the meaning of this festival in your minds.
Games and fried food!
Everyone bursts out in laughter, and so do I. Yes, thank you, Mikado. But what I meant was... The remainder of his sentence is buried beneath the ring of the lunch bells, and everyone starts packing their things. Muto deliberates for a moment, but since almost nobody seems to pay attention anymore, he gives up and sits down. It's crowded in the hallway. Or as crowded as hallways in this school probably get. Most of the students seem to be heading down for the cafeteria.
Hisao, I'm gonna make you a one-time only super extra special lunch offer. Emmy's homemade lunch boxes, and the privilege of enjoying them in private with two bombshell beauties.
Her overly flirtatious sales pitch echoes in the hallway. A remarkable feat since it's full of people. Emmy strikes a very confident-looking pose, as though in an attempt to one-up her own ridiculousness, puffing her very modest chest and making a V for victory sign with her hand. Sounds delicious. To what do I owe this honor of being invited? One second, just checking some things. Okay, cool.
You stood there looking really lost and sad, so I thought you could use some company.
That is probably the most depressing reason imaginable.
So how about it? You're probably really lonely and would eat that awful cafeteria food all alone otherwise. I'm kidding.
Sure, I'll have your lunch offer. With pleasure.
Let's go to the roof.
The roof? Why the roof?
Because that's where we eat lunch. And if I don't get up there, she'll probably wander off, and then I just know she'll go hungry because she never packs a lunch for herself.
Oh well.
Come with me.
Without answering my question or waiting for a response, she grabs me by the arm and drags me through the halls. I attempt to make conversation on the way. Why do you have an extra lunch? Emmy smiles guiltily.
Actually, it's yesterday's lunch. I slipped in a run at lunch, and I forgot to eat it.
Huh. Stairway to the roof is a little dilapidated, but it's clearly been used recently. At the top of the stairs is a door, complete with missing padlock. I wonder who the intrepid individual was that removed the lock. Emmy shoves the door open and steps beaming into the sunlight. Suddenly, a tall, dark stranger appears out of nowhere, standing imposingly in front of us. Emmy flinches back, almost falling back down the stairs.
Eek!
Hello.
Yipes! You scared me, Rin.
Wait, isn't she... Hello. Noticing that Rin is speaking to me, Emmy looks curiously at me.
You two know each other?
I look confusedly at Emmy. She's that friend of yours? Rin has turned her gaze toward the clouds drifting above the school. I didn't know you knew this person, Emmy. The awkward silence lasts only for a few seconds until Emmy lets out a tiny giggle, shrugging the coincidence off.
I invited Hisao for lunch. If you know him, that's just better.
Oh, does this mean I don't get food? Or did you invite him for lunch without the lunch?
Neither. I have food for 3.
Nice thinking. They walk to the other end of the roof while I stay at the clock tower for a while, taking in the atmosphere. There's nobody else but us here. I guess the roof is not as popular as it is in other schools. A few rundown benches and tables are scattered around the edges, perhaps in an attempt to make the rooftop look less desolate. Small pebbles covering the roof rattle beneath our feet. Peek through the chain link fence and take a look at the school grounds and beyond. One moment, guys. Sorry about that. Students are strolling in pairs and groups around the quadrangle and at the cafeteria. A few delivery trucks are driving past the school toward the convenience store nearby. Somewhere, a watchdog barks at a passerby. Somehow, when I look toward the town center, the small town strikes me very strong, almost palpably. The hectic lifestyle of big metropolises seems so far and foreign here. Nobody has to run to catch a bus if their life depended on it, or get their senses overloaded by neon signs and traffic jams. I feel surprisingly optimistic about this new life of mine. Looking at my new hometown, even if it's gonna be mine for only one short year. Finding out about my illness and having to move away from home all came so suddenly, I hadn't had time to think how I felt about it. When I step out of the shadow of the clock tower to the open, I feel warmth touching my back. The sun shines from a perfectly clear cerulean sky. The cool breeze sweeping over the rooftop makes me shiver, but only briefly. The wind carries the scent of trees and flowers, not smog and car exhaust like it used to just a few weeks ago. Emmy settles on a bench with Rin in tow and produces one big and two small lunch boxes from her bag.
Come on, Hasao. What are you waiting for?
She is beckoning me to join them, making room on the already small bench. I seat myself on the corner of the bench to take as little space as possible. It's pretty cramped, but somehow all three of us fit on it. Impressive view. Emmy suppresses a giggle and places a lunchbox in front of Rin and hands another lunchbox to me.
Here you go. Lunch as promised.
Homemade, no less. I'm impressed. Wow, this looks really good.
Thanks. I make 'em myself when I can.
Conversation dies off as I said about the business of feeding myself. Taking a few bites, I glance up and notice Rin deftly opening the lunchbox and popping a fork of food into her mouth using only her feet. Even though I've seen it before, I can't help but be impressed at her dexterity. It's also a reminder of the sort of place I'm in right now. Will I ever get used to sights such as this? I can't decide if getting used to such a thing would be a good thing or a bad thing either. Does getting used to this place mean I'm giving up on being a normal person? Or does that mean I'm becoming more understanding about those around me? I'm distracted from my thoughts by the sight of Emmy tearing into her lunch as if it had insulted her ancestors. You seem pretty hungry. Freaking cat grin there. Emmy looks up, mouth half full, and swallows before nodding.
My morning run always works up an appetite. Which is great, because I burn through lunch pretty quickly. Helps me keep my girlish figure.
What would happen if you'd lose it? Would you become a man? I very nearly choke on my lunch trying not to laugh.
It's a figure of speech.
Does your figure have to run in the mornings too? Do you always talk like this?
Talk like what?
Like What? I think that answers my question. Never mind. So, I struggle to think of small talk and settle on the obvious question. How did you two meet? Rin seems content to let Emmy answer this question. Bleh.
Someone in the housing department thought we'd complement each other well, so we were assigned to rooms next to one another.
Compliment each other? Like shoes in a suit. Huh? Emmy giggles at my confusion.
Put us together and we've got all our limbs. Get it? Ah. So I started helping Rin get ready in the mornings, and that was that. I mean, you can't help someone get dressed every morning and not get along.
I see. Rin chooses this moment to interject. I have trouble with shirts. Right, that seems fairly obvious. Really? Kind of? This isn't helping, but at least Emmy seems to find the whole thing funny. That, combined with the fact that Rin is genuinely curious, makes me feel slightly better and yet confused. I mean, you've got no arms. So, putting on a shirt seems like one of those things that would be difficult. You know what? I'm just gonna stop talking now. It'll save me a lot of trouble in the long run. Rin nods in what I suspect is meant to be a sage manner. I see. Conversation dies as I turn my attention back to my lunch. It's really quite good. Emmy finishes her lunch first and makes a contented noise.
Ah, that was good.
As she busies herself with cleaning up her lunch, Rin speaks up. I'm thirsty.
Oh, I almost forgot about that. Sorry.
With a flourish, she reaches into her bag and removes a trio of juice boxes. She tosses me one that appears to be cranberry juice, one to Rin that appears to be some kind of strawberry milk, complete with pink color scheme, and keeps an equally pink box of some kind of fruit punch for herself. I get stuck with the cranberry juice. This is some bullshit. Rin dexterously stabs her straw through the top of the box and begins to drink. I'm once again impressed by how flexible she is. But this time I keep my comment to myself. Somehow, I don't think either Emmy or Rin are the sorts of people to think twice about the way they work around their particular disabilities. Rin especially so. Indeed, she gives off the impression of being entirely unaware that she's missing any limbs at all. Whether or not that's a conscious decision is another matter. I'm honestly not sure.
So, Hisao, how do you like it up here?
It's quite nice, actually. I like high places. For the view. Thanks for inviting me up here. And for the lunch, too. Emmy grins a 1,000-watt grin, pleased by my response, I suppose.
No problem. Feel free to eat with us next time too, okay? I won't make you a lunch, but you can bring your own up here.
No lunch service? I don't know. Emmy looks mock offended.
Trying to take advantage of my good nature? The nerve!
She giggles.
Well, if that's your answer, I guess Rin and I will just keep eating lunch all alone.
I'm suddenly assaulted by the most heart-rending puppy dog eyes I've ever seen as Emmy pouts. Kidding! I was kidding! I'd love to eat lunch up here again. Good location, and the company's okay too. Emmy frowns a bit at my declaration of okay, but seems happy enough that I've accepted her invitation. I guess that makes us friends now. Or at least acquaintances. Lunch bell rings, signaling a return downstairs.
Rin, you didn't finish your lunch again!
I wasn't that hungry.
If you don't eat more, you're gonna fade away!
Rin shrugs as if this is an acceptable risk. Come on, we'd better get going. Three of us head down the stairs together. The afternoon class passes. Once again, I find myself without a plan for something to do after school. So I head to the library to turn a couple books I finished reading. Walking inside, I see that there are as many students here as there were on Tuesday. All the more evident from the total silence enveloping the room. As I drop the books I borrowed into the return slot in the counter, Yuko suddenly pops up from behind it, quite startled from the banging as they hit the trolley next to her. Sorry, Yuko. Didn't mean to startle you.
No, that's fine. It happens. A lot. I'm used to it by now. Can I help you?
It's okay, I think I know where everything is. Thanks anyway. Suppose I'll grab another book or two while I'm here. There's not much else to do, and after reading so much during my stay in the hospital, it's become a hard habit to break. I wander down to the fiction section toward the back of the library, scanning the bookshelves for anything that catches my eye. As I do, I look over to the corner where Hanako had been last time I was here, not really expecting anything to come of it. Surprisingly, though, she's there, absorbed completely in a fairly thick book. I decide against intruding on her like last time and get back to finding reading material. After an indiscernible amount of time spent perusing the aisles, I finally decide on a couple of books to get and slide them off the shelf. With a minimum of fuss, I quickly walk over to the counter, check out my books, and pop them into my bag as I walk out. By the time I leave the main building, sunset isn't too far away. A small trickle of students remain, but the majority have left, presumably to their homes and dorms. I guess I need to buy some supplies. Can't live off cafeteria food and eating out for my entire stay here. As I leave for the gate, I make a few loud stretches to try and stave off the tiredness that's accumulated over the week. After passing through and rounding the corner, though, I see a solitary figure walking downhill toward the small town below. The color of her hair and tapping of her cane are unmistakable. I quickly walk up to her, which seems to catch her attention without a word needing to be said. Hi, Lily. She takes a moment to place the voice, slightly adjusting her head to face a bit more toward the source of my voice as she does. Isao? Yep, that's me. She seems to have a good memory for voices. The fact she actually remembered is a pleasant surprise.
Good evening. What brings you here?
Once again, she gives a small polite bow, and once again, I reply in kind before realizing I need to do so. Asao, just be polite. She bows, you bow. Just do it. Who cares if she can't see it? help being polite. Jesus. Ah! Master of romance, everybody. Just going into town. You?
My, what a coincidence.
Doing the same thing, eh?
I usually go shopping on Fridays.
She pauses for a moment, suddenly looking a little lost.
That said, Hanako usually comes into town with me.
Not lost, but worried. The two do seem to keep pretty close tabs on one another. It's kind of surprising that Hanako would just forget Lily like that. I noticed her reading in the library. She probably just got caught up in a book. She lets out a small sigh of relief.
Thank you. She has a habit of doing that.
Avid reader?
Right. She doesn't like being around crowds of people, so reading away from everyone lets her relax a bit.
Although she probably didn't intend it, I can't help but grimace as I recall my first meeting with her. Hardly wanting to bring it up, but I remained silent as we quickly continue to walk down the quiet road. Tack, 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 tack. The road bereft of cars and the students of Yamaku increasingly far behind us, the quiet rustling of the leaves and the measured tappings of Lily's cane against the sidewalk are all that could be heard. It's kind of nice, especially compared to the hustle and bustle of where I used to live. Before I know it, I've relaxed so much a loud yawn escapes before I can control it.
Tired?
Yeah, been run ragged these past few days. That's an understatement, to be sure. Transferring to a different school would be bad enough, but nothing like this.
Well, hopefully everything should settle down for you. The festival's got everyone in a spin right now, and you've been plopped right into the middle of things.
For a moment I hesitate, but given her apparent tolerance for frankness, I decide to give my full thoughts. I guess. Yamaku's kind of different, though. I mean, the formalities surrounding everything, the isolation around it, not to mention the most obvious difference. It's kind of a whole different mindset. Suppose I'll get used to it in time. She gives a matter-of-fact nod, apparently pleased with my answer. It feels almost as if she's included me in the flock of students she's shepherding, along with Class 3-2 and Hanako. Well, not that I mind. It's nice to get the thoughts off my chest in any case.
Looking on the bright side, one could see it as a chance for a new beginning. You should cherish the ability to make new friends.
That's optimistic. Nonetheless, it's good to have a positive attitude about such things, I suppose. I guess that's a good take on it. Walking on down the road, she seems to become somewhat unsettled. Before I can ask what's on her mind, she seems to collect herself and speaks up about something else.
So, where in town were you going?
That's actually a pretty good question. I'd come in to buy food, but the layout of the place is still totally foreign to me. I'd intended to just wander around and see what I could find, but with sunset already approaching and nightfall not too far away, that doesn't seem very wise. I'm gonna have to ask her for directions. Again. I was just going to get some food, but now that you mention it, I don't really know the way.
Well now, this is quite lucky. I was just about to go to the convenience store myself.
Looks like I'll be in your care again then. Thanks. Together we walk to the store. My pace is carefully slow to remain beside her. Compared to my usual walking pace, hers is quite a bit slower, Not that it's without reason. After what couldn't have been more than several minutes, I catch sight of our objective. This town is really pretty small. It really is pretty small. Not really pretty is. Ugh. Why did that happen? What is wrong with my brain there? Without further ado, we make our way inside with a greeting from the counter.
Mind if I tag along with you? Usually Hanako would help me, but seeing as she's not here...
It takes a moment before I realize what she means. Considering she wouldn't be able to read any of the labels, shopping without any help would be a big pain for her. That said, I can't shake the feeling that she'd had this idea since I said I was coming here. Sure, it'd be my pleasure. I grab 2 well-used red baskets from the small stack beside the entrance, handing one to Lily. She lays it on the ground, putting her school bag in, retracting her cane and sliding it through the basket's handles before picking it back up in her right hand. Wait, she doesn't use her cane. Before I can complete the thought, she comes beside me and pinches the cuff of my uniform in her slender fingers.
Is this all right?
Sure. I have no reason not to accept. I can think of worse things than shopping with a pretty girl holding on to me, even if it's out of necessity. We navigate our way through the store, without not one of the occasional passing customers seeming to bat an eyelid. Considering how close Yamaku is, I guess seeing students from there must be entirely normal for the local residents. As we reach each aisle, I quickly check with Lily and find out what she needs. I grab it along with what I'm looking for and put our items in our respective baskets. I guess it's the same routine she and Hanako follow every Friday. Alright, all that's left is the bread, and that should be my shopping done. Do you need anything else, Lily?
No, this should be everything.
Off we go then. With a quick side trip to the bakery section, we make our way to the registers. The line, thankfully, is almost non-existent. It's not long before we've both paid for our food and are out the door. As Lily retrieves her cane and extends it to full length, I waste a minute looking upward at the night sky while holding both our bags. For a moment, I try to make clouds with my breath, but the summer's heat doesn't seem to cooperate. Eventually, she rights herself, taking a quick stretch before taking her bag and leaving me with my 2. Bro, why do you have 2 bags of stuff? You tired as well?
The festival preparations have been complete chaos. Shizune breathing down my neck doesn't exactly help things either.
Hey, she's only trying to get everything organized. Better now than later, right?
I suppose. I'm going to enjoy relaxing in town tomorrow, that's for certain.
I guess the festival preparation has been taking their toll on both of them. We walk out into the quiet street, talking between ourselves as we carry our bags of food and supplies from the store. Wait, what's that? I notice a very distinctive figure making its way towards us, silhouetted by the street lamps. And, unfortunately, I'm gonna leave it at that for today. Yeah, 'cause that's been about 2 hours. I gotta do some things, whatnot. So, yeah, we're just gonna leave right there. Who's this mysterious, distinctive figure that's approaching in the dark? So I just want to thank everybody for coming out. Tomorrow, 12 o'clock, we're doing our SD Gundam G Generation Cross Race stream. Gonna keep moving forward into the Gundam 00 storyline. This is a mission I've been somewhat dreading just because of, well, yeah, I'll find out tomorrow why I'm somewhat dreading it. Anywho, so yeah, SD Gundam tomorrow, and then Sunday, Valentine's Day. Fingers crossed, I finish Act 1. After that, well, Saturday I'll get into a schedule and whatnot specifically, but just as a quick thing, because I finished Tales of Symphonia this week, Katawa Shoujo is going to be taking its place. So, yeah, Mondays and Tuesdays will be Katawa Shoujo for the foreseeable future. Anywho, I hope everyone enjoyed. Have yourselves a good day, and I'll see you next time.